Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. This is a recorded programme. It's Wednesday afternoon, the day before the second leg tie against Granada at Old Trafford. We're 2-0 up from the first leg. Just quickly before I touch on what Ole's been talking about at the press conference, we've had a little practice run this morning. We went live. I've struggled to go live. I'm not computer literate myself in any way, shape or form, and I always need assistance. My usual assistants away, and we've not managed to go live really before the last two games. But I've had somebody around today helping me, and we've managed to go live for half an hour earlier, answering a few questions. So fingers crossed, it should be fine tomorrow. Should be live an hour and 10 minutes or so before the game. So I'm looking forward to that, getting back to that usual routine. Ole's press conference today, I said that I would come back and do a recorded show after the press conference. Ole was asked, is it a good thing really that he's got a few suspensions, because it sort of takes it out of his hands which players are going to get rested, and they're going to get basically a natural rest. As we know, Luke Shaw, Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire are all injured. All suspended for tomorrow night's game, so obviously can't play. He was adamant that it's not a good thing. It's never a good thing when you've got suspended players. I do get where he's coming from. He's perfectly entitled to say that. He is the manager of Manchester United. I'm not so sure about that. On this occasion, you know, Luke Shaw's suspended. A game like this, when we're 2-0 up already, I think quite often Telles would play, unless Ole's learnt his lesson now. The drop-off, I think, from Luke Shaw to Telles is massive. Cost us possibly. But look, I'm not saying he played badly. It's just how good Luke Shaw is. But we left him out against Leicester and got beat. We even left Luke Shaw out against Sheffield United at Old Trafford and we got beat. So there is a big drop-off, but he does do it a lot. And I would have thought that Telles would have played in this game. We're already 2-0 up. And who's to say Scott McTominay would have played? In games like this, sometimes it's Pogba and Matic. It could be Matic and Fred. So there's no certainty that McTominay would have played. It's far from certain that McTominay would have played. The only player who's missing, who you can say for sure, or virtually for sure, you can say for sure, he never leaves Harry Maguire out in almost any game. Maybe a League Cup against a lower division side, but Maguire would have been playing in this game. So there's just the one player missing really, who you can be pretty sure would have played. The others, I think they might well have got a rest anyway. On the subject of yellow cards, it was mentioned that Paul Pogba going into this game is on a yellow. I don't know if any others are. Others weren't mentioned. But Paul Pogba's on a yellow. He was asked whether he might consider leaving Pogba out to make sure he's available and not suspended for the first leg of the semi. Should we get through? There's still a job to do to get through, but we should get through. He was adamant that they can't think like that. They've got to try and do the best to get the right result in this game. The players on the field, if they're on a yellow card, they can't be playing half-heartedly. He said they can't be, he didn't use that exact phrase, but he said they've got to go in for any challenge to win it, any tackle. They can't just duck out of tackles because they're on a yellow card. So I think the way he was talking, it's looking pretty much like Pogba will be in the starting lineup. There was no other information about other players on yellow cards, and there was also no mention of Dan James, just touching on who might play or might not play. I'll come to that shortly, but there's no mention whatsoever about Dan James. I think he was missing with a knee injury at the weekend. He was asked about Jesse Lingard. He said he's delighted for Jesse Lingard. He's been brilliant at the club. He's been a fantastic lad. He's read through at United through and through. He hopes he gets a chance at the Euros. He thinks he might have a chance of getting in the Euro squad now. The person who asked the question said that he scored 8 goals for West Ham. That's a phenomenal amount of goals for Jesse Lingard. It's a lot of goals for any player in such a short time at a club in the Premier League. But for Jesse to go there and score 8 goals, he's absolutely on fire. I've got to be honest, it shocked me. I'm stunned how well he's doing, certainly on the goals front. 8 goals. I think they're all must all be Premier League goals as well. I'm pretty certain of it. So he's really pleased for Jesse, and he says he's such a good lad around again. He deserved that chance to be going and playing Premier League football. So that was that. Jesse Lingard. He was asked if Eric Bailey's back in the country. He said he is back in the country, but he's still not available for this game. So Eric's not available this game. It's a shame for Eric, really, because obviously Harry Maguire's suspended. It's a game where he would have come into the game, but he did say Axel's ready and he's relishing the opportunity. So I think that was always fairly obvious, but there's one player that's obviously going to be playing in the game tomorrow night. Axel's going to be, he didn't say this as much, but he did say he's relishing the opportunity. So Axel will be playing in Harry Maguire's place at centre-back, and because of that, we haven't got any other centre-backs really. Will Fish, an 18-year-old who plays regularly under 23s, has been added to the Euro squad. So I think we can expect to see Will Fish on the bench tomorrow night. He was asked about the team spirit. The team spirit especially was mentioned, that we've got 28 points from losing positions in the league this season, more than any other club. All he did say, it's also a bad thing that we're so often behind as well, which is a fair point. And I don't know where he was going with this, but he mentioned what a great team spirit the Argentina squad had in 1990 when did they win the World Cup in 90? I think they won it. Or was it 86 that they won it? But he did mention the Argentina squad that won the World Cup. I think he said they had a fantastic team spirit, but they also had Diego Maradona. Thought it was a bit of an unusual answer myself, and I'm not too sure where he was going with that. Is he suggesting possibly that we've got an absolutely fantastic team spirit plus one outstanding player? I didn't really get it, but that was what he said. He was asked about transfers. It's a Euros summer. Well, obviously the transfer market be a little bit shorter in a manner, because obviously there might not be so much action going on while the Euros is on. And would there be any transfers before the Euros start? He didn't seem to think so, and didn't really want to speak about the transfer market. He just said we've got enough to think about with the season still ongoing, and when the transfer window comes around, it comes around, and I agree with him on that. The next question that he was asked, somebody said that this surprised me. We're the only team in the Premier League that have had a midweek game in every single midweek since the season started. Obviously taking out the international breaks, obviously, but he said we're the only team that have had a game every single midweek of the season. What amazed me about that, I'm not suggesting the guy's wrong by any stretch. He must have done his homework, but Man City are still in Europe like we are. They're also in the League Cup final and the FA Cup final, and we're out of the League Cup and the FA Cup. Now I know we've still played a League Cup semi like they have. Obviously they played us in the League Cup semi, and we've also played an FA Cup quarter like they have, so they've still got the final and the semi-final, the final of the League Cup and the semi-final of the FA Cup to come. But you might say, so why does that affect it? But I think they've already played the game that they're supposed to be playing on League Cup weekend. Do you understand what I mean? So that's games that have been brought forward to get them out of the way. So when they're still in Europe and they're still in cups that we're out of, how on earth that works out like that is beyond me. Even Chelsea is still in the Champions League. They're also still in the FA Cup. So why we would be the only team that have played in every single midweek? I thought it was very interesting, but the point of his question to me was a little bit silly, in my opinion. As that put us at a disadvantage compared to other clubs. Look, if you want to be successful, if you want to chase trophies, that automatically brings more games. That's what success is. If you want to do well, obviously you want to do well in the Premier League. That's 38 games that you've got to play. If you want to do well in other competitions, then that means playing more games. That's your actual target. You want to get through each game and play in the next round of each tournament. So success breeds success, which brings football matches. So that's the first thing. You're actually aiming at the start of the season, really. You're aiming to play as many games as you can. But secondly, what I also find absurd about it, Chelsea is still in the FA Cup, they're still in the Champions League. City is still in all three, in three different cups. The other clubs that are out of them are only out of them because they got knocked out of them. They're not deliberately got knocked out of them. Arsenal are still in the Europa League, by the way, like we are. So we might have played in every single solitary midweek, which the guy, as I say, he must have done his own work. I assume he's right. But all these other clubs that are still doing well in cups, surely they've only played one less midweek than us, or two at the most. It's not like they're putting their feet up on the beach, is it, every other midweek? You know, to say that we are at a disadvantage to City, for example, surely City could have only had one midweek off. If we've played every single midweek and City are still in all those cups, surely at the most they must have only had one midweek off. I don't even know how they fitted that in. But if they have had one midweek off over the course of a whole season, where's the benefit in that compared to us? I don't get it. I don't get it. So obviously we might be at a disadvantage to the clubs that are unsuccessful. We might be at a disadvantage, I don't know, no disrespect. We might be at a disadvantage over Aston Villa because they haven't gone as far in all the cups and they weren't in Europe. We might be at a disadvantage. I mean, Arsenal have been playing in Europe. Spurs have been playing in Europe. Chelsea, Liverpool, City, they've all been playing in Europe. So the teams that we're at a disadvantage against, Newcastle United, for example, they're not the teams that we aim to be competing with anyway. So I think it's if you're going to use that as an excuse as to any reason why you might not win a trophy, or to say that you're at a disadvantage, you're only at a disadvantage to the unsuccessful clubs. The other clubs, you're not at a disadvantage to them, not in my opinion. Andy Mitten brought up a good point. All 3 away games in the Europa League, we've won all the away games and we haven't won one at home. Yeah, we haven't won at home. I think he means in the knockout stages. Well, it can only be the knockout stages. We were in the Champions League, weren't we? So in the knockout stages of the Europa League, we've won all our away games and not one at home yet. Ole did bring up, and I've mentioned this on a couple of my shows, Ole did bring up, well, Real Sociedad, we were 4-0 up from the away leg, so we didn't need to win the home game. He didn't say this next bit, these are my words. Perhaps he's inferring that had we needed to beat Real Sociedad at Old Trafford, we probably would have beat them at Old Trafford, but we didn't need to, we were already 4-0 up. So there is that. But the most interesting aspect of it was at the end, because Andy also said, you know, that we're unbeaten away from home in the league, whereas we've lost a few home games. I think we've lost 4 times at Old Trafford. And he brought up a little thing. I'm sorry he's brought it up, to be honest. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of jokes knocking around about it. And he said that 1 or 2 of the players have mentioned that when they have a quick look, which I know this when playing football, sometimes it's like almost in your peripheral vision. You know, you see the colour of your teammate's shirt and knock it. You might not know who it is, but you just know it's one of your teammates. And, you know, you don't have to take a proper look. Sometimes you just know it's one of your teammates that's there, and you might have just caught a glance of his shirt and you knock it. And he was saying that they've lost. They're not saying this is happening all the time. Look, I'm not saying it's a valid excuse. I'm just telling you what Ole said. Ole said, when all the seats are red and wearing red shirts, occasionally a player loses his teammate in his vision because it's basically because this is my words now, basically because it's a red wall that you see, and all you see is the red seats and the red shirt against a red background, and you sometimes, when you take a quick glance, you don't see your teammate because it's all red. And they're actually, I think he said they've actually changed the background, they've changed all the banners and everything, all the banners. He mentioned the Black Lives Matter banner that they've got up there, and they've got all sorts of different advertisements, and they've tried to make sure that none of them are red, so that the red shirts that of the teammates stand out against the background. So whether that's a valid excuse for losing any games at Old Trafford, I don't know. If it was that bad, surely they would have lost even more games at Old Trafford than they have. But yeah, so there was no further news apart from Eric Bailey's still not ready, and he's mentioned Axel and said he's he's got an opportunity. So obviously it looks like Axel's going to play. He mentioned Paul Pogba, but obviously about his yellow card going forward, and he that's not going to come into his mind. So on the show that we did this morning, where we went live, our little practice run for tomorrow night, I had a stab at the lineup for tomorrow night, and I'll just repeat it here quickly. I think it'll be David De Gea in goal. I think he's now the Europa League keeper, I'm sorry to say, and Dean Henderson seems to be the league keeper. I think it'll be Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Axel Tuanzebe and Telles as a back four. I think it'll be Matic and Fred as the two central midfield players and Bruno at number 10. I think Marcus will get a rest tomorrow. They keep talking about this injury and that injury. I think we'll play with Greenwood on the right, Cavani at number 9, and I think Pogba will play wide left again, like he played so well there, certainly for the last hour. He played so well there against Spurs. That's what I expect. I do expect it to be a drab game. I noticed Chelsea were 2-0 up from their first leg. They even got beat at home 1-0, but it was a professional job. When I say at home, I think the game was in Seville, wasn't it, for COVID reasons or something, travel reasons. And when we were 4 up against Real Sociedad, it was a bit of a bore fest, a 0-0 draw at Old Trafford. That's the sort of game I'm expecting, just a professional performance where we know we can't afford to lose. If I was a betting man, I was having a bet on tomorrow night's result, I'd be expecting a 0-0 draw. I hope we get through, so I would accept a 0-0 draw, but I'm hoping for a bit more entertainment. I'd like a nice 2-0 or 3-0 win would be really good. I'd love to see that, but that remains to be seen. I hope you've enjoyed that little show. If you've enjoyed that show, please subscribe. Please tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.